So as Street Fighter V continues struggling to stay relevant, I've had lots of thoughts about its characters and designs, especially its new original characters. I thought I wanted to make a video about Ed when he came out, but honestly I just didn't care enough about the character to even make any meaningful commentary or reaction. Then I thought about making a video about Abigail when he came out, and I didn't even care enough to be angry. Now granted, Design Trap isn't just about reacting or being angry, it's about critical breakdowns of a character's design, animation, and overall collective presentation within a game. And before I even think about diving into Season 2's lineup, I feel like I should start from the beginning and do some breakdowns of each of Street Fighter V's newcomers. In light of my more recent videos criticizing NetherRealm and Mortal Kombat, there's probably a lot of you who think I'm some sort of Capcom apologist, so for those of you who want to see me take a stab at Capcom, don't worry, I've been sharpening my knives. Starting from today, I'll have a new video every week going through each of Street Fighter V's brand new characters one by one. We'll start with the 4 newcomers in the base roster, and then later we'll move on to Season 2. Let's get started. The first of the SF5 originals to be revealed and billed as the new badass, Necalli is an ancient primal warrior with mysterious powers who consumes the souls of powerful fighters. For being what is essentially the antagonistic face of Street Fighter V, Necalli has excellent visual impact. With his distinct V-shaped markings and blatant V-shaped attacks, Necalli may as well be the mascot for Street Fighter V. The aged, patterned garb really gives the feel of a lost warrior of generations past, and his face and body markings work well together to evoke his fierce, bestial nature. While his dreadlocks are an excellent design choice for expressing that exotic lost culture, in practice they get a little goofy with Street Fighter V's free-flowing physics engine. If the dreads were locked into animation keyframes, I bet an animator could do really cool things, but the way they look in motion with the freeform physics just makes Necalli look like an octopus. But what really sells Necalli's whole look is his V-trigger. There are characters in the game whose V-triggers don't give any sort of visual indicator that they are active, or for characters with instantaneous V-triggers, an indicator that they are ready to use. Because V-triggers have a natural build-up, giving some sort of visual flair to them could really enhance the feel of using one. That popping a V-trigger feels like making a big play. And for that matter, Necalli has the most visually interesting V-trigger in the game. Even though he only really changes his frame data, you as a player certainly feel faster, more powerful, more responsive. The big glowing hair really sells a feeling of transformation, that you evolve from a beast to a monster. I still feel as though keyframing the hair would give animators better control over how it moves during attacks, but the physics of the V-trigger hair aren't as intrusive as the dreads, so I can forgive it just a little. Interestingly, his V-trigger changes only 2 animations. His walk becomes a more feral crawl, and his critical art replaces his wild, violent slashing with a more disciplined release of power. After a while, I was actually confused about what kind of transformation his V-trigger conveyed thematically. Does he become more vicious and animalistic, or does he actually rein in his power with a frightening level of control? I'm personally fond of the latter, where a man of wild, uncontrollable power learns to actually hone his latent energy into a usable form, but this remains a mystery to me. Speaking of mystery, Necalli gives me a good opportunity to talk about how an excellent character design can be ruined by bad writing. Without any canon behind him, Necalli's design also invokes a great sense of mystery, of origins unknown and a power we've never seen before. And with fighting games, the less said, the better. We're left to ponder this on our own, and sometimes the conclusions we draw ourselves are more satisfying than any canon. I even thought at one point that Necalli was using some ancient form of Satsui no Hado, which we know stems from rage and hatred, and which Necalli seems to have a ton of. But then Street Fighter V launched a big cinematic story mode, and, well, they still don't explain a lot about Necalli. But even if the story doesn't explain much, you can still maintain that air of mystery with how other characters interact with him. Necalli should have been the Akuma of the game. Since Akuma wasn't in the game until Season 2 and thus absent for story mode. In his personal story mode as well as in the cinematic story, Necalli is linked with Ryu, Bison, and Dhalsim. With the exception of Dhalsim, who only exists as exposition to explain what the hell Necalli is and could thus be completely removed in order to maintain Necalli's mystery, Necalli could have represented the extreme of the duality issues that both Ryu and M. Bison have internalized. Necalli is anger, rage, power, and hunger. This is central to Ryu's struggle with the Satsui no Hado, and could have represented a twisted version of M. Bison's own obsession with psycho power. that perhaps his power lust will one day turn him into a mindless beast ruled by hunger. What we got instead was a series of battles where Necalli gets his shit kicked in by people who really couldn't give two fucks about him. The real killing blow here is that no one treats Necalli like the threat he ought to be. He loses to Dhalsim, he loses to Ryu as the result of a crucial character development arc that happens entirely off-screen, and right when I thought he was about to throw a wrench into Bison's plan by appearing in the Shadowloo base, he gets Psycho Crushed right into the garbage bin. Necalli in story mode is a prime example of how to ruin a mysterious character, by disregarding his mystery entirely. It's a shame because his visual design has so much potential staying power that I wouldn't mind seeing Necalli appear in future works, but his story potential is shafted right out of the gate in his own game. If Necalli ever comes back for any reason, be it a crossover, a spin-off, or a sequel, he definitely deserves better than he got here. Necalli's failings hurt especially more because he had so much promise as a new antagonist, and the unsatisfying conclusion he was given in story mode kills any potential he may have lived up to in the future. That wraps up this week's Design Shop. Let me know what you guys think about Necalli in the comments below, and go ahead and stomp that subscribe button for more anime and game content from SugarPunch. Also consider checking out our Patreon and maybe tipping just a little to get early access on our videos. Next week, things will get a little turbulent. I'm a.b.i., and I'm gonna go take a shower hour.